All right, this is Losing Anxiety, Judson. This is probably my favorite song that we've done to date. It's really great. It's also actually maybe one of the simpler ones of all the ones we've done to date. There's really only, looks like, we've got the drums, we've got a bass riff, and we've got this really cool vocoder thing, guitars, saxophone, and vocals. So there's essentially 6 elements. And there's a bunch of layers that we'll get into in a second, but I really just want to hear how it kind of came together. And how did you know, okay, that's enough elements? What was that process like?
The skinniest soul brush me on my...
I like the lyrics a little bit and the concept of the song. It's a mixture between the frustrations of living in a place with maybe a perceived lower ceiling when it comes to for dreams, and then going to a place with a much higher ceiling and feeling that rush of open space. Okay, so started with drums. Started programming the drums, and I was inspired. I was in Los Angeles in 2017 in June. It was the first time I've ever been to LA.
That's a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. Yeah, so this started a long time ago. 2 years. So I was in LA, and first time ever being there, I was inspired, and I was like, I listened to I was on YouTube for some reason, and I was checking out old Pharrell, and there was a super group that apparently was going to be made between Pharrell, Kanye, and there was somebody else I can't remember at the time, in the mid 2000s or late 2000s or late aughts, and anyway, just listening to one of their tracks. I wish I could remember the name right now, but anyway, I just got inspired, and that's so I programmed a drum beat that I felt like was the best thing I could think of for Pharrell, as if it were me. So through the prism of me,
to be in continuity with that.
Yeah, continuity with that. Yeah, so I was like, I'm just gonna try to get my Pharrell on and just see if I can do that. Yeah. Don't really know if I accomplished with that, but I just I ended up liking what I made. I made another beat to that drum beat. So I made a different melodic thing that was more minor. I took some sleigh bells and tuned them into melodic notes, and then it was stupid. And so anyway, I decided to trash that, and I was just sitting at this those generic little desks that you have in the Hilton in LA, some random one in Hollywood, and I was sitting there hunched over with an SM58 in my hand. I was really close to it, and I was just I had an auto-tune live plug-in, and so I was just kind of humming into it. And through that humming, I realized I just love this. I just love the way this melody lined up with the drum beat. There was no chords.
Melody for the vocal, or was that the melody that the vocoder is based off?
It was the melody for the lead vocals of the song. So it was the melody for the chorus and the post-chorus. And in fact, if you listen to the first post-chorus of the thing, that's actually that's audio from that initial trip.
I remember you saying there was a 58. I remember maybe we'll talk about that in a minute, because I had to do some work on it.
Yeah, because there was a demo vocal that I was like, I don't want to try to replicate it.
But we had to keep it.
It was a lightning in a bottle thing.
Right.
It might not sound like a lightning in a bottle thing because it's just a part, but the way it felt, when I listened to it, I didn't want to mess with it.
And I'm not knocking 58s. You can make a whole record with that. But what's interesting to me is that the original moment that the conception of the song, that also is there in the final mix, and I think that's cool.
That's right, and that was so important to me. And it was so important when I was producing the record to make sure that I captured that feeling of me sitting at that desk with this minimal type of this vibe. Again, when it was the first draft of it was a drum beat and me singing a melody through an auto-tune live thing. There was no chords, there was nothing. I didn't do that until a few days later. I figured out the chords for the song, or for that one section.
Yeah.
And that was all. That was all it was, and it still resonated. Mm-hmm. So I knew I had something there when just 2 pieces were there, and I could already vibe with it.
So how long did you sit on those 2 pieces?
I sat on those 2 pieces. So I was in a hotel room for the first half of that trip. Yeah. And the second half, I was like, it's too much money. And so I had to go find somewhere else to stay for a few days. Yeah. No, I didn't. No. So I have a fantastic friend named Steven Richardson who plays guitar. I met him when we were both at jazz school. Basically, we were both in the jazz program at University of Southern Mississippi, and Steven is one of the kindest hearted. I love him, and he's also one of the most tasteful guitarists I've ever heard in my life. And anyway, so I ended up. He was a part of a church plant in Los Angeles. So he was living in this really fun house in Culver City in LA with 5 other people. They were living it's a 3-bedroom house. They were living 2 to a room.
Yeah.
And it was just, it was a really positive environment though. No one was cramped. They had a detached garage. I ended up staying in the garage.
Yeah.
And one night when we were there, I was just hanging out. Basically, I think at that point I moved in for like a few days, and so I was sitting there, and I just pulled up the file again, and they had a ukulele.
Yeah.
And I know how to play a little bit of ukulele, and so I just came up with the chords.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, these are the chords, and I went over to Steven. I was like, hey, Steven, you wanna do a session real quick? Mm-hmm. So we went out to that detached garage where I was sleeping, and I had the amp was there. And he was over there playing his guitar. I was giving a little bit of direction. We were going back and forth, and I was sitting there with his amp right there. And I had 2 microphones. I didn't have any mic stands. I just had 2 microphones that I was holding to the amp and recording what we were talking about. Every time I would pick up the mics and just hold it as if I was like my arms were the 2 mic stands. Mm-hmm. And so there was just there's a tactile feeling about the whole process in the first chapters of it. And so from there it went to recording guitars, and that's when things blew up.
Yeah, his parts are all really tasteful. They're great, and they're layers.
Yes,
they're pretty awesome how they're layered.
It was great. So when we were talking about the guitar layers, is that something you want to listen to? Or
go ahead, man. Yeah.
So when we're talking about the layers, one second. I talked a lot. My mouth is dry.
It's good tea.
So, yeah, it's good tea.
I think we have some
B-roll. Yeah.
Tea.
So the guitar stacking, I guess you could say, is it's separated into 3 parts. It's separated into a low part, low in frequency, and also just low in the neck. And it's more of a. I wanted to do 2 different things with the guitar. I wanted a full frequency range of what the guitar is capable of, and although you can't do that at one time because they only have one hand, and you can only be in one spot of the neck. So I wanted a full frequency range from the guitar. And then I also wanted a strong rhythmic backbone at this point, because the beat's cool, but it kind of messes with where the quarter note is a little bit, just when you're listening to it, because it kind of rushes some of that stuff.
To be honest, it provides a much needed transition. The drums stay pretty much in the pocket.
Absolutely.
And so this helps us give a different section of the song.
That's right. It adds more rhythmic, just information besides from what we had, because the drum beat is very constant throughout.
I would almost say that the guitar, it is definitely doing guitar things, but more than anything, it's adding the rhythmic element is what makes it so awesome in this song.
And the way it's structured is there's 3 different parts. There's a low, mid, and high. The low part lays down. Not necessarily a strong rhythmic thing, but it lays down almost like the whole notes of this section.
Like diamonds of it.
Yeah, kind of diamonds. Exactly, it's a great way of putting it. And just places a firm foundation, frequency wise and rhythmically, for the next sections. And then the middle section is more of a chunk type of thing. Yep. I think he was maybe playing fifths and octaves, nothing super complicated, but trying to continue to build that background. Movement. That's right. And then what that did is that, because this is how great Steven is that once we had those 2 sections right there, we were able to play with if we had the whole notes and then the middle section had the quarter notes, the high part was able to play with maybe the 8th notes and play with more of what a melody might sound like. And so he played this really great guitar melody. That was all him. Yeah. Oh yeah. So in the second half, the first half is like a bum bum bum. I was telling him syncopate. Try to get some of the
Enns the movement, because the drums were really in the pocket at that point in the song.
That's right. So and then in the middle, my favorite part is what you just said, that part. I mean, that thing. It was something where the first half of the chorus is so pretty and flowy or whatever.
You want to play it a second?
Yeah, let's play it.
Let's see. Coming out. So this is
chorus 1. So chorus 1 is where it starts.
So this would be coming out of the bit of the chorus into kind of like the post-chorus.
That's right.
It has the riff. 1 second. We talked about how this could be a problem. There it is.
I'll always love you. I hope you know.
Yeah, really adds a lot.
So yeah, and I'm all about that type of voicing. Like I don't know how to really explain it besides it's like it's very kind of a gospel thing. And Steven is such a great guitar player. I was just able to, I sang it and he, you know, he did this great palm mute technique that makes it really plucky and it just pops out where all this washy, really pretty guitar stuff comes in the first half. The second half, it's kind of it's a call and response with a it just fills that space.
I think even in the mix, like we just tried to pull that out, the punchiness of it in the second half.
What did you use on that?
Let's see. Go back and look. Mute this.
I'll always love you.
This is a API emulator from Kush Audio. It's a really great plugin. But it gives it that kind of punchy sound from the API. And then on the post-chorus guitars, we're actually compressing them a little bit, which helps make it pokey or pop. Plucky is a good word. And that like just helps accentuate the thing that he was already doing there.
Yeah.
But you know, a little bit of delay.
Steven
a
Rich
little
is
delay on it. Yeah, it really is exceptional. I love it. There is also something that we should talk about that people may or may not catch all the time when they listen. There was a little bit of a, I don't know if I'm gonna call it a flub or something coming out of the post-chorus.
It was more like I think what it was is just it was in the process of not recording anymore, and so. You know, it's those points. Sometimes those are my favorite things to draw from. Sometimes, is right before and right after the actual recording, like the performance aspect of the recording. You sometimes catch really great stuff. And working with people like Nigel Cole, who says the most ridiculous things all the time. Yeah. So when you get to catch those things in the middle of like before and after takes, them. Yeah. And so like I learned that from him, like just working with him. And so you know, this is a classic example of just something where...
Because I remember when you came in, the first time I had heard the full production of it when we got ready to mix it. And, like, that was one of the first things you told me is, oh, yeah, Shell, there's this little thing. Please don't take it out. Like, I really like it. And I think we might have even cut it up, I think, if I remember right.
Yeah,
but... tried to bring it out, but not distracting.
For sure. And just for whatever reason, it just hits the beat in a way where it's just... It adds to the song.
Let's just play it real quick. Yeah. So, this will be the guitar solo. You'll hear the sound of it on its own. That's literally it. Yeah. But in the context of the mix.
Listening around to the stories I be playing.
Oh, wow. I got it wrong. I was the one that got it wrong.
So yeah, it does add a lot. The guitars, very well done, very cool. Created a lot of transitions for us, and then actually that little noise piece, if anybody wants to listen to it, it only happens going into the next verse.
Happens one time.
That's right. So that's pretty cool.
That's right. And so
it's hard to pick out, like, just because it sounds so intentional.
And so so that was June 2017, and it basically sat there for up until maybe September 2018. So for about a year and about 3 months, I didn't really touch it. I didn't know what to do with it. I wrote some lyrics and stuff, kind of developed the chorus. So the chorus had been written at some point. Other than that was about it, you know. And it just sat there for about I don't know, a year and a quarter.
With the guitars? Without the guitars?
With the guitars.
So it was guitar, drums, and that was essential. And you had the melodies, the vocal stuff.
That's right. That's about it.
Fundamentally, it looks like, maybe, I could be wrong, but what it looks like is maybe you take a part of the song and then you place samples where you want them, almost instead of playing them there, is what it looks like when I get it. Is that how you approach it, more like architecturally, or?
I do. So yeah. So this is technically what I'm doing is I'm drum sequencing
with the sample sounds.
With the sample sounds just in a Logic file.
Yeah.
So some people might sequence with a machine where
a lot of people will play it in with MIDI.
They'll play it in with MIDI, and then maybe have it quantized.
Yeah.
What this does is it takes some of the musicality out of it, which is something that I've tried to incorporate more with future stuff I'm doing, because it's just hard sometimes to get that feel. But what this does do is it gives you complete control over layering. It gives you complete control over feel in a way if you know where to place these things in these regions, and you can do really fun things like right here. This is the sample. Hold on. This is the sample right here.
Do you want to play it a second?
Yeah, for sure. But you could see that I cut it as almost like a prep kick right there, and I just did that right there.
You're talking about this one here?
Yeah, that one, and then the next one over there. Yeah, so you can play it. So
to get different colors.
Yeah, and just to get like a different type of attack. Now it's different. Like it's not the way a kick drummer would play that, because you wouldn't be able to choke it like that unless you had more than one hand on it. I guess you could with a beater, but it just would be different. With this, it's fun because it's kind of it gives a different vibe to it. It does feel more automated, but that's kind of part of the point. I listen to a ton of hip hop, and so it's not all the time, but a lot of hip hop drums are sequenced, and so that's part of my sound. That was part of the sound of this song and a lot of the stuff I do, and it's really fun.
The layers of it all. Let's see if we can. This would be the percussion.
Here's some auxiliary percussion.
Yeah,
right,
some more stuff here. And I think, if I remember right, the snaps were you might have a handle on the best sampled snaps.
That's right. Planet. I do a lot. I have this one snaps that I made when I was in 2015. I was like maybe.
Are they on every song that we've done?
No. I was 21. I just, for whatever reason, and I did not know what I was doing, but I knew when I got that, I was like, well, I did that one right. I did that snap sample right. And anyway, I use it. I probably use it in maybe 2 or 3 songs that we've done. Yeah. We've done of the 6 singles. And that
let's
cowbell.
Let them hear. Everyone
I put
wants
that
to hear
cowbell
it.
in everything.
Yeah, the cowbell.
Yeah, you can hear that.
Like,
you can hear that in palm trees too. It's a great cowbell.
Yeah, I think those snaps are great. I think all of that was great. I remember thinking, from a mixing standpoint, just trying to like accentuate the different transitions of the songs. I think we approached those snaps. I think I might have duplicated them and just mixed them differently.
Yeah.
So that they were like subtly different in the parts. But like on a whole, this method that you use is really cool, and I want to talk about it because it is unique compared to any other producers that bring stuff in. So
that's awesome.
It's pretty cool, dude.
Thanks,
I like it a lot. There's an element of truth to the fact that like if you let other people do what they love and they're passionate about, and you do the part that you love and that you're passionate about, then you have the whole project is surrounded in this passion and this love. Versus, I could, if you've done a bunch of production on a record and you've written all the lyrics and all these things, and then maybe you may feel like you're being just as passionate in the master, but you might not be.
No, because you're running on like empty basically at that point. Yeah. Whereas and it's just not a great help. It's, for me personally, I can't speak for everyone, but it's not a great mental state.
Right.
Like if you're to mastering, it's like I've listened to this song thousands of times. There's like, how do you know that what you're doing is good? Right. You just don't know for sure. And so that's why you need specialists to help you along the way. And there's nothing wrong about that, because if everyone is bought in on the vision, which is usually the artist's job, but not always. Sometimes it's a collective thing. Then everything's gonna be fine.
Hey,